And we are live.
Hello, paranormal peeps, and welcome to the Not So No Debate, as we're calling this show today.
Not
It
so
is
no debate.
the Not So No Debate. It is the 9th of Feb. It is 3 o'clock on a Sunday in the old sunny UK, and we're having a lovely day of it today.
Yeah,
It is beautiful out there. It is brisk, as we say in Wales, brisk.
there's a slight breeze of 60-mile-an-hour winds.
Yes, lovely. There's a couple of people have spot roofs up the valleys and stuff, and having a good old jolly about this. And people's trampolines have tried to emigrate north, and the fourth call is getting closer to us as we speak. But it's great. It's all going rather well.
Hi to Suzanne on the chat, and we're going to wait for some people to come in here on the chat. Today we're going to be going through some of your guys' feedback and comments. I have got them all listed here and highlighted some of the amazing feedback and comments that we've been having. But while we wait, Richard, how has the paranormal been for you this week? Do you have any updates?
No, it's been a bit of few, as anybody who experiences the paranormal, you always have little weird things, don't you? I can forget sometimes. I just sort of like, when I'm doing something else, I forget, and then something just happens that sort of like jogs your memory that you are part of this paranormal world. Yeah, but just the usual.
Well,
if you could do
me a favour quickly, if you can just keep the conversation going for a minute. I've literally got to step away for 2 seconds. I'm awful sorry about this. Something's just come up. Can you do that, okay? If you can do that, yeah, 2 seconds.
I will try my best.
Okay.
So, well, you're gone, Jazio. Oh, I've been abandoned. There we are. Either the wind took him or he's just left me. So yeah. So, paranormal peeps, this is, we're doing this show, basically. We're going to be doing it once a month to talk about different things that people have sent us and different things going on in the world, and it is quite a lot going on in the paranormal community at the moment. I don't know if you guys are into other paranormal stuff, but there's been a bit of controversy in some of the groups in the UK have been having a bit of turmoil between each other, sort of a bit of a paranormal battle, really. We got a good old Huff. He's been doing some interesting videos on spirituality and the coronavirus, and there's kind of all sorts going on at the moment. But we are trying to keep an eye on it. There's some good groups as well coming up through YouTube. We were sharing some stuff. The investigation, the way they investigate is a bit ropey. I'm not gonna lie. It's not the way we investigate. But there is some interesting paranormal videos appearing on YouTube at the moment. We are going to be doing a couple of videos ourselves and critiquing them and talking about them. This Nuke's Top 5, he's probably gets inundated with paranormal stuff, and he's been showing some amazing videos. They're really hard to debunk, to be honest with you, if you go and find him on YouTube and watch him. Amazing guy. Yeah. Brilliant the way he does videos. So yeah, are you back with us, Jar? No, he's still gone. He's still left me. We're going to be doing, I think we want to talk about people's comments and stuff today, I think, and we're going to be doing bits and bobs on the paranormal and seeing what you guys think, and if there's anything you guys would like us to do as well. If you've got any suggestions or places or areas, just drop us a message and we will have a look and see what we can come up with.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I had to come back. I do apologise for that. I had a little bit of an emergency situation crop up and I had to go and sort it right away, and it's not normally a professional thing to do when you're in the middle of a live stream, but it was an unavoidable situation, unfortunately. So hi to Suzanne, hi to Lisa, hi to Christy, hi to Chris, and Lisa says she watches Nuke's Top 5. If any of you guys got any questions about the paranormal that you want answered in today's stream, now is the time to ask. You can ask us about anything, our experiences. If you've had an experience you'd like us to talk about as well, then please do ask us, and we will put your questions to myself and Richard.
Yeah, well, basically, Jazz, when he was absent then, but I was talking about some of the paranormal evidence the Nuke Top 5 is putting out there at the minute on the internet.
Right, okay.
And it is, some of it is just amazing. I mean, really is. I mean, the thing with, like, people having just phones handy all the time now and everything and cameras, and some of the paranormal stuff that's coming up at the moment is just amazing. I mean, really, really amazing. I mean, some of it's hard, really. I mean, some of it you can tell has been set up.
Yeah, absolutely.
The best way to tell that is by someone's reaction to the paranormal. If somebody absolutely flings themselves out of a window because they've just seen something, there's a good chance they've actually seen something. If they're just standing there going, ooh, you know, a pretty good chance that they've set that up. Because, you know, even the most staunch paranormal people who experience it on a regular basis still get EBGBs, probably more so, because they've seen more than the average Joe.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but there is some brilliant stuff coming up at the moment on YouTube in regards to the paranormal, some amazing footage, and really, I've been studying some of it, and yeah, I'm finding it hard to debunk.
Well, the one got me, and probably the one I don't get creeped out by the paranormal an awful lot. Not visibly so. I do like sort of when I'm watching stuff on my own at night, I still get that old sort of creeped out feeling that I used to have like when I was a kid watching like the paranormal different shows and stuff. So I still get that. But like when I'm out on investigation, I tend to be in a different sort of mindset. So
yeah,
I suppose I'm expecting something to happen not expecting something to happen, but I'm on guard. My guard's up. When I'm sitting there at home watching YouTube at night, you know, and I see something, it kind of takes on a different thing.
I'm exactly the same. Watching it, like watching horror films, and you know they put jumps in there to scare you.
Yeah, absolutely
breaks me. I can't deal with it. I'm not interested because I hate when I'm in the paranormal and I've got to do something or I'm trying to help someone. Yeah, all that fear and everything just disappears. It's quite strange.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I find quite interesting is sorry, something's grabbing my attention. What I find quite interesting, the one that got me was the Japanese documentary. He showed 8 scariest ghost videos you have been warned, and there was one on that. There was a Japanese documentary, and it was filmed about school children. It was about the education system in Japan. And there's a scene in there where the teacher's teaching the class and the camera sort of pans around, and there's a girl sat on the other side of the window as if she's sitting on a balcony. And in the next couple of shots in the documentary, it shows an establishing shot of the school, and there's no balcony on that window. So it's a genuine, solid apparition. It's something to be. It scared the absolute living daylights out of me, because I've only ever 2 or 3 times seen spirit that solid, and I can kind of handle it if I'm aware of it and I'm working. But if I'm just sort of watching YouTube or, you know, that sort of thing, it can have that little bit of an effect on you. Like, and that was because it wasn't a paranormal investigator. The footage had nothing to do with the paranormal. The purpose of it was nothing to do with the paranormal. That is what grabbed me. There's no reason for that to be in there. Or for that figure to be as if they're sitting on that balcony, and that really sort of
I've seen that one. Yeah,
it did.
It is quite bizarre. It is a bizarre. It's in the content as well, like you said. It's, you know, because they were just doing a documentary and everything, and it is quite odd. But there is some really good paranormal videos on that section, on that video you just described there from thing. Yeah, but ghost children. I've said this before. Ghost children. Don't know why. Oh, absolutely. Scare me beyond. I
Uh,
can't put into words. I've seen 5 in my paranormal, sort of lifetime. And yeah, everyone absolutely scared the wits out of me. So,
So we have our first question, and this is from Chris Williams, who says, "There are more dead than there are alive. Is all places haunted? What makes a place more or less haunted than others?"
oh, that's a good question. Um, I think obviously, as all of us in life, there is a sort of spiritual connection we have, and there is loved ones who watch over us and care for us. As I, this is just what I believe. I don't know if this is right, but I believe that's their sort of job. They get to choose if they can come and watch over you, or progress, or move to another world, or whatever it is they get to do. Um, I think the reason is, if you think of old buildings, like buildings were quite sort of sparse, and like villages back in the day were mostly made out of wood. So like we are, where we live is probably built over somebody else's village. And I think it's more with these buildings because they were such an iconic place, and there was so much, activity there with people, passing back and forth, and they have an affinity with a place that that stands the test of time, if you like. I think that's probably more the reason why some places appear to be more haunted than others. Good example, 30 East Drive. Now, if you want to investigate 30 East Drive, it's like a 2-year waiting list. You can't get a weekend now for the next 2 years. So the only options you guys are weekday. Now, the amount of people that would have gone there and stirred that atmosphere up by doing Ouija boards, seances, calling out, being disrespectful, provoking, all the things that you shouldn't really do in a situation like that. That's just going to amp it up. And that's what happens in these locations. People go there with the intention of investigating, and they just amp it up. The old hospital that was in Mountain Ash was the same. I mean, that was just genuinely a hospital. A few investigators went there and did some stuff. And I remember me and Martin going there. And there was another group there at the time, and they were doing a Ouija board, and they were like provoking and saying, "Come on, we're not scared of you, come and do something." And they were giving it a big one. I was stood in the corridor, and there was about 6 or 7 of them in this particular room in the hospital, and there was this figure stood over this girl, and I frightened all these people in this room because it looked like he was going to grab her, or I don't know. That's what it looked like, because he was like reaching over her with his hands, and I jumped towards the group because I was like, "Oh my god!" to try and protect this girl who was in this group from this thing, and that had been brought there. That had been like stirred up in the atmosphere. That spirit didn't belong to that hospital. That was something that was brought in through doing, too much, basically, just taking it to the extreme, and taking advantage of it.
I my answer to that question is people are haunted more than places. And whereas I actually agree with what you say, a lot of what you say, I agree with it. I suppose the only thing I wanted to give was an addition. Um, when you have places like people's houses and that sort of thing which are haunted, a lot of it is down to the stories that we get shown about different places. And what I tend to find is people will generally have a more haunted experience than an actual place will have a haunted experience. And I think it's the people that create the history around certain areas or certain places, as you said, Rich, that actually makes some places more haunted than others. Because you
Yeah.
can get haunted places that no one's ever really gone to.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's what I find quite interesting. Is you can get places that are haunted more than people. You can get people that are haunted more than places. So it's to do, I think, with the continuing evolving mythology of humanity as a whole. And I think that our planet, to a point, is haunted. You will have places like there's a place near me, which is an old pit site that's got like a local history importance to it. You don't really associate it with being haunted, but there will be paranormal phenomena there, and I think it's more to do with our understanding of the paranormal than anything else. Would you agree with that, or?
Um, I don't. No, I don't necessarily agree about people being haunted. People obviously do get haunted. I'm not going to
Yeah,
disagree with that at all. I think it's I don't know. It's a really fine line between, it's a good example. When I was working one time, and I went with a work colleague up to, is it Clydach, up the
yeah,
top site
yeah,
for there.
yeah,
And I was in the middle of the day, and he was telling me this story about these 40 miners who lost their lives. And I said, that's funny. I said, I can see two miners, but there, I said, one's dressed quite different to the other, but the one's telling me that 11 died. And he was like, oh no, it's definitely like 40 odd people it was. I said, I don't know, that's what he's telling me. I said, I can see like a cart as well. I can see like a thing. But he Googled it, we searched on Google, and 11 men had died in one of the coal trucks, failing. And I can remember thinking, it's like, why would that spirit, is it stuck here? Has it waited round to tell me that so I could do this? And that's the sort of the thing, we aspire to, Janet, to
yeah,
find out
yeah,
what is going on. And it is a difficult question to grasp. Why is it happening? That I find is like the thing, in all the years I've been doing this, is why, because we've had cases where like the spirit has been attached to somebody else, and they've wanted to get a message to someone they love. Or you can, that just makes sense. That seems plausible. But
yeah,
it's when it goes beyond that, it starts to get into the realm, because as the stories we've had from the paranormal that
yeah.
have been incredible. It's never just oh yeah, it's just Frank froze Olivia before his haunted in the house. It never really pans out like that. There's always quite a big dramatic story behind it, and it sort of it pans off to different places.
The more I look into it, though, the more I feel it comes back down to people. It comes back down to how people treat each other. It comes down to how people treat themselves. And I suppose that's the kind of point that I
Yeah,
was trying to get
yeah,
to. It was more to do with the way in which we live, the amount of injustices in the world. And that's kind of revisited by a lot of... and I'm going to go on to that a little bit later, because it is something that was highlighted on the channel, and it's something I'd like to speak about, because it's something that actually screwed my life up big time a few years back, and I think it kind of factors into this. Factors into this. We've got some more activity on the chat.
right.
Suzanne says, I lived in a new built bungalow once which was haunted. At least it seemed to be. Several members of my family saw a figure there. That's my point about, you can have new builds and they can be haunted.
A River Trains Wales head office. I mean, it was only 7 years old when I worked there, and every security guard I took there refused to work there. That they couldn't get staff to work there after a certain time.
Yeah.
Because it was it wasn't just the people that worked there. I mean, I had the actual police tell me that the building needed an exorcism, because I was the head guard there. I mean, that's pretty daunting. I can remember that didn't help my situation, because I was the person who had to patrol the building. But he was 7 years old.
Yeah.
And he was incredibly haunted.
Absolutely. Excuse that. We just had a few sort of comments coming through on the old Facebook. If you bear with me a second, I will also take a look at them. So yeah, it's a book by I know it's called Our Haunted Planet. I think it's John Peel is the gentleman that done it, and he's basically travelled all over the world, and that was one of the things that I believe that he found, was like there were so many places that were more haunted than others, that had no reason to be. I think there was there's quite a it's quite a story. There's quite a story about us as a whole, humanity, and our relationship with things that are haunted in block capital letters. There's a relationship with our relationship with spirit, or with what happens to our souls after we die. And I think this kind of factors into the full question, because how, in those terms, do you actually define haunted? Does haunted actually mean that a ghost is there? Is haunted if there's been so much activity of a certain variety over a certain space of time that's created the atmosphere? Is it the atmosphere that creates the hauntedness of a place? A lot of the times people can say that their house is haunted, but they're actually having visitations from spirit, and it's actually connected to something else that's going on in their lives at a certain particular point in time, and therefore, that is why they're having the activity. So the activity is surrounded around them and not actually surrounded around the place. It's our affiliate. It always comes back down to people, where I that's where I'm at with it, because it's our affiliation with a place, it's how we behave in a place, and it's our affiliation with each other. Someone else, I think is Nicola, just mentioned that one of the things that she hated was the paranormal investigators that have absolutely no respect and provoke the spirits. They do not give them a chance to answer their questions. That's the other thing, and this is the thing. People are not taking a valid research approach to this, and that is by literally, can you develop a hypothesis? So this is, the scientific method. Can you have a hypothesis, and you continually test that hypothesis, and as much controlled conditions as possible. And no one is really, the only one I know of, which we've spoken of before, that has done that really, is the skull experiments. I suppose you could include Huff to a certain degree, because he does it in a controlled way. He does it in the same place, and he does session after session after session. So there are people that do it in fields that are covered by the paranormal, but the ones that get the most airtime then are the ones that are going through abandoned buildings and wanting to get chased and stuff, because we're associating the paranormal with entertainment, where actually...
Yeah. Well, if you look at Ghost Adventures, in the first, 5 or 6 seasons, they never mentioned about helping the spirit they're communicating with. It was only sort of after season 6 onward that they actually started referring to helping the spirits they're communicating with, which, as you know, Jamie and you we've got in trouble before now for helping spirits. and I'll have to tell that story now, won't I? But it is, we've been asked many a times to help, and I've been asked by spirit to help others, which I have done. Well, I have tried to do as the best of my ability, and I think that is something that it's another thing you find groups doing now, summoning demons, and they're doing it live. Now that's the thing that's really starting to bother me. See, I'm seeing that more and more and more in the paranormal community. They're summoning things without any regard of what that can, not just if they want to hurt themselves, if they feel like, I can deal with it, then deal with it. But don't put that on others, because people are watching that live. And you don't know what these things are capable of. If I've seen a few groups, and they've been on Facebook, and they've done they've found research and summoning spells and God knows what else, and literally tried to really summon something. And I think that really, I gotta be honest, that's disrespectful as well. That's just being downright stupid, if you ask me. But I mean, being disrespectful, ghosting thing. You don't know what's going on. You don't know why that spirit's there. You don't know what they've been through, and you're basically antagonising it. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that.
Chris Williams says maybe spirit want to make you know that you're in a place, you're in their place before it wants to haunt you, other than the house. I've heard dolls prevent this though. Yeah, there's. I'm not going to go into that. Because there's various forms of protection that you do, and I wouldn't put that out for the reason that Richard has just give. I wouldn't put that out on YouTube. There are things that people can do with objects and things. I would basically say go for a common or garden crystal. If you're looking for some sort of protection, a nice grounding and protecting crystal, something like a rose quartz or something like just a clear quartz or something like a tourmaline flat stone for protection serves the purpose quite. You don't really need anything else more than that personally, for any sort of form of protection. Richard, would you be interested in doing a paranormal investigation in Penlliegar Woods? A little girl got murdered there years ago. Name was Muriel. The last paranormal investigators that went there, the last paranormal investigators that went there were disrespectful, and the spirit hasn't got a chance to come through. Nicola, if you could let us know where those woods are, so we can, and if you want to contact us privately about arranging that, that's not a problem. We can sort that out.
Yeah, definitely.
Meant to say years ago, but about the protection, Chris, I'm reading the chat now. About the protection. Right, some good ways to protect your home. Sage, because we're being asked about protecting homes. Can you use dolls to protect your home?
I'm not right. We're going to be doing an investigation into haunted dolls, right? Because there seems to be a bit of a craze of them being sold on eBay and everything. And we're going to do an investigation into haunted dolls. And dolls, people are spiritual energy and physical life energy. And the two combined is very powerful. And you can do things like this meditation. There's different things you can do to enhance that energy in yourself. But that I would use as number one protection for your home is your own personal spiritual and physical energy. I think that's, you can, I've used a singing bowl. Mine got broke recently because I was trying to basically smudge a building, and this thing didn't like me doing it, and it hit the bowl at my hand and cracked it. It's a copper bowl. So, but a singing bowl, sage, I mean, there's a couple of things, Dan. I mean, there's quite a few things, but the one technique I tell people if I'm on a case is to focus at a point of light in your mind, fill it with everything positive that's ever gone on in your life, all the love you've ever felt, everything, just pure love, joy and happiness, and expand it to every wall, the outside walls, the attic, every wall. So you see it as a bubble, and it just grows and grows and grows. And just once is enough, but the more you do it, the more you're reaffirming that is your space, physically and spiritually. That is your domain. Beings of love and light will have no problem passing that boundary, because it doesn't affect them. But anything that's not, or as for any reason has different intent, then they can't move past that boundary. It physically harms them, so they will stay away. That's the number one way I've learned.
Nicola asks, is it true that any spirit can attach to you or your emotions?
I wouldn't say any, but yes, they can. They will. They sense your energy level, and of course, like, we attribute anything sensory to what's physically happening to us. So like a cold breeze, your hair stands up, that's a sense. Like, they can do that spiritually, so they can feel sadness, joy, anxiety and things like that. And on your mental state, they can attach themselves to that energy. they can take, because they are within the same realms of that energy, and they can attach themselves to it.
What I would say with that is it generally tends to be more if you are spiritually sensitive.
Yeah.
If you believe that you are having these paranormal experiences, then the first rule of thumb is to learn something called grounding and protecting.
Yeah.
Grounding, basically, it's a psychic 101, guys. So grounding is an exercise that you do where you basically, it's a short breathing exercise, and you just visualize roots coming out of your feet, and you use your breath and visualize energy going down from your heart and going down all the way into your feet and into the ground and into the center of the earth. And what happens when you ground, you normally feel like a rush of energy coming up through your feet. And the protection normally is through very similar to what Rich said. You focus at a point of light. I normally do it in the heart. It doesn't matter where you do it, but I normally do it in the heart. And think about, everything that you've ever loved, love in general. And as you breathe into that energy, you grow it so it becomes a bubble around you. That is another thing that helps you. But here's another thing that you can do as well. Is rather than sort of sitting there and trying to visualize or go through a meditation, just sort of sit there in a quiet space and just become aware of your body. So become aware of, say, how your toes feel to you. How does your feet feel to you? Your ankles, your legs, and just let that awareness grow throughout your body. So start, the first thing that I always show people to do is to start becoming aware of their own sense of self, of their own body, of their own mind, and of their own spirit. And that generally is something that does help with knowing if there's something around. There are other ways of doing it, of course, but that's the way that I found works more successful.
Yeah.
And as Richard has said before, just one final point, sorry, Rich.
Yeah, go on.
Is the one thing that I would say to practice is the art of closing down. Because what that does is it gives you the difference. You know when spirit is clear, coming through to you and working with you, and you know when it's your own energy. So what I tend to do is I visualize a door, and this is a technique I have practiced for years, and I still do it now, which is I visualize a door, and I shut that door, and I lock that door 3 times. So that's basically what I tend to do as a form of closing down. It is. Richard, I'm going to leave you with this. So I'm going to start you with this question. It says, what is the difference between an apparition of a spirit and the shadow figures that are seen?
Well, to tell you the truth, there is different forms. I've seen normal spirit as like a shadow. Okay, because you've got to think of, I suppose, energy. I'm going to try and keep it as unsciencey as I can. But energy has a density, right? Whatever form it is, even though it's transparent, it has a form of density. So you get different things. Like, this has been this big debate for years about orbs being the manifestation of spirit. And the problem with that is it's a light anomaly. And there's so many things that can appear as a light anomaly. That doesn't rule out that they're no physical things, and it doesn't rule out that they're spiritual things. Because, you can see a light in the distance. It could be an airplane, it could be a star, it could be a helicopter, it could be a UFO. You don't know which one it is. It's in the distance, same as an orb. And, you get shadow figures, I would associate them more with something lurking, so it gives you that sense that it's in, if it's in the shadows, it's coming out, it's got all that sense of eeriness about it. But I just think it's the way spirit appears. I think it's just the spirit's mindset at the time, and how, because this is gonna, I don't know if anybody's ever thought of this, but why do ghosts wear clothes? why they got clothes on? Because clothes don't become ghosts once they're destroyed or they're dead. And why? It's like it's what you visualize. So you can get times where you'll see a spirit in your mind and you project that as it's outside of it. And there's so many different ways the spirit will appear, and there's so many. We've captured quite a few different ones, haven't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
Different forms of spirit trying to manifest themselves. So I don't know. Yeah, I can see that, shadow figures. They do give me a sense of like, ooh, right, is this? But I don't think. I just think it's the spirit's frame of mind at the time.
That's actually a good point, to be honest, because, yeah, why do spirits wear clothes?
Yeah,
That's a good point.
they should be, realistically.
Absolutely. I wanted to share some things, some comments from the channel, Richard. So I was going to go ahead and share them if if that was okay with you. Hello? We seem to have lost Richard. Hello? Hello? Can anyone hear me on the chat? Oh, Rich, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm back.
Sorry about that, guys. We are having some issues with the storm. That's why I've had to go out a few times. I am sorry about that. It's just with the storm going on at the moment. I have dogs. The internet connection's been sort of wavering a little bit, so I've been trying to keep that going.
Yeah,
so that's
it
why
has all day.
that's why we've been having a few sort of issues. So I apologise. The idea of this stream anyway is just to have a little bit of fun and just a little bit of questions and answers that a little bit of kind of just a chat about the paranormal. But yeah, I was going through.
From you guys, isn't it? It's a bit of,
Yes,
with the people that listen to us and follow us. It's a bit of interaction.
absolutely. So Ryan Bailey said about your UFO video. He said, I saw something very similar in November 2019, and I'm just north of Caerphilly. We've had a few people come back to us, and there is a couple of other UFO videos over the Cardiff area that have been very similar to the one that you've taken, Rich.
Yeah.
And we've noticed there's one in 2018, and there was quite a few taken last year. So apparently the YouTuber MBB333 has been reporting that a lot of people are seeing this sort of phenomena around the world, where it's like a speck of, or like a craft just hovering in the sky, and they're just like very similar to what you saw.
Yeah. Well,
So
like I said, I put it out there. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know. I know they come in. Seems to be, from what I've seen of this local area, they're coming across from Bristol way over Caerphilly sort of area and across the valleys like that. So, Lantrisson, from Caerphilly, Lantrisson, across.
Dean Jenkins.
Brecon, you've got Senny Bridge as well. They've been seen. So, I don't know, it's just, there's a point. We've got the power lines, we've got a junction box where I live, and I think there's 9 areas it stems to. And that is, it's a huge area that this junction box is. It's massive, but it's called Power Station Hill. Something's going on, because these things have been reported over that area for years, since the 70s. This ghost stories right the way through to now. Yeah. UFO stories right the way through to now. And I don't know, are they using the energy? Are they something's going on with it. Something's going on with the power station and these UFOs. There's a link. Because we've had the helicopters out here now checking the lines coming from Power Station Hill, and they've been saying they haven't been out for years, but in the last 6 months, you've seen them so many times checking exactly the same lines. So I don't know, there's something up.
Hi to Amanda and hi to Chris. Chris is saying about the weather. Everyone said that they could still hear us after that little issue that we had there. Dean Jenkins commented on one of our videos, the UFO sighting that you said, and he said, "I'm from Grosse Vane, down the run. I'm seeing the same thing. Penturk UFO. Plus, we have a hot spring in Taftswell. I think has a lot to do with it, and the mines in Penturk as well." Could that be something to do with it, but with the fact, because we are living in a heavily sort of mining area?
I think it's probably more to do with things like ley lines.
Right. Okay.
I think because I've had my own experiences with the UFO stuff, Jazz, from years and years and years ago, and I've done I've really, I've gone into it with meditation. I've gone into it with trying to connect with these beings or whatever I've done. And it's been the lines of that some are using this planet for greedy means and bad means, and some are trying to stop them and protect us and make us aware that there is things going on in this world that we are not privy to. And they have a detrimental effect of life on this planet, and that's the best sort of reason I can come up with, and that makes sense to me in the way the world's going. That makes absolute. I mean, we're in a universe of infiniteness. We are definitely, without any shadow of a doubt, the only beings that exist, and they are probably way beyond us. And it's like that you get Star Trek and the Federation and planets. You're not allowed to interfere with them.
Yeah.
And it's been said that I think that's true. We can't really leave the planet. I mean, just going to the moon was a monumental task. They got on about going back, but just to go to another planet like Mars is like 6 months, or is it longer than that? It's a hell of a trip.
Yeah, 3 years, I think.
Oh, is it?
I think so. Hang on, I'll have to look this up if anyone wants to look.
It could be. I know it's a long. It's a.
I'm going to find out now. How long would it take us to get to Mars?
If in the future you're going to take the kids there, it's a long old wait to have them in the back saying, "Are we there yet?" I know that.
It will take you about 300 days, the best part of a year.
Oh, well, that's a lot. That's what we are talking about now, right? So we really can't affect the outside of our planet. We really can't have an effect.
Yeah.
And I think there is. I think there's something going on. I think they're trying to get our attention, and to what, I don't know, because there's a part of me that doesn't want to know really, because it's probably dreadful. But yeah, and they're using this area, and there's something about this area that they are, because the Penturk incident is massive, and you've got back in the 70s, the one in Leckwith where the UFO landed. I mean, that's coming up in their stories are sort of coming back up now from the 70s, because that happened quite a few places in Wales where these craft actually landed and beings got out.
Wow.
These eyewitness reports. So
Chris Williams says power stations messing with the lines of convergence over the ITC community, perhaps. Do you mean ITC as in ghost boxes and that sort of thing, Chris? Also, if you bear with me a second, there is a post here from Solar Function. She commented on one of our Now Debates videos and says, "Hey guys, if you have ever listened to the YouTube channel called Cosmic Agency, the lady is based in Spain and she has 2 channels, one in English and one in Spanish. There is much information on that channel about ET contact over the internet, media, such as messaging, and the ETs have passed on a huge amount of information regarding technology, understanding about the state of densities that we occupy, especially when we die too. Just to give you a heads up, while we are here, it is in this dense third density. When you die, you are sent to fourth density, where most people cannot see people on the higher densities unless they are higher sensitive, and can interact with the fourth density using their sixth sense. These ghosts you are chasing are all fourth density beings. Many are trapped between here and there, and here and there on purpose because they don't want to cross over. There is good reason for why, as they don't want to cross over too, because what happens after you die, which has been written about by many people, who have had near-death incidents, which they meet a higher being who they think is Jesus. They get told that they are not ready to come home and that they need to go back. And the person seems to think that they now have some higher purpose in life. The real situation is far more sinister. Now, I'm not going to read the full comment out because it does go on for a while. That was the point I wanted to make. Right, there's a few points I want to bring up about this because, and I know, Sola, this is not against you at all, my love. You have been a very interesting contributor to the channel and a good contributor to the channel. I hope you do continue to. And at the end of the day, these are only my opinions, and Richard's opinions about what we feel that we have discovered. And what I find about when I did look at this YouTube channel, and it gave me a lot of red herrings. The first thing was that the lady was saying that she'd had contact with UFOs or ETs, and that it was supposed to be one fixed point of contact. So, Rich, just if you to bring you up to speed on this. So the person is saying that she's contacted one fixed form of contact that is a ship so far above the earth, and all other forms of contact are bogus. What she's being told is that these beings now, who are supposed to be the Pleiades or Palladians or whatever they're supposed to be, I can't pronounce it, are getting very frustrated that humanity is not waking up and not listening to what they are telling them. Now, that's my first red herring. The second is the information that she is given is... Now, I'm pretty up on this stuff, and I found it didn't make sense to me. It seemed like technobabble to me to try and justify and talk about different things. But now that could just be the fact that I don't understand what you're being told. But whenever I've had a communication from spirit, that I was told when we did in our investigations, this comes through several times. Whenever you do something, you ask the question, is this the loving way? Now, I feel from the communications that we have that spirit or the beings that we've communicated with have an understanding about how complex humanity's psychology is, and that whereas one thing will work for one group of people, it will not work for another group of people, or one thing will work for one person and will not work for the other person. So this person could be getting information, but the first question I want to ask is, where's your evidence? Because at the end of the day, we haven't produced everything, but at least we are producing evidence of everything that we're finding. The second thing that I'm very, very concerned about is this perpetuating feeling I'm seeing a lot about what they're calling the false light matrix. And basically what the false light matrix is supposed to be that when you die, you go to a place that is a trap, essentially, and we keep reincarnating over and over again whilst some reptilian being feeds on us. Now, I have a lot of problems with this because of the fear it perpetuates. And when I found out about it, it actually created a lot of problems in my personal life, and it affected a lot of people around me as well. And it made a lot of people very, very, very scared. And I feel personally that if this was the case, if this was, now I do believe there are problems. I do believe that we are, for a want of a better word, trapped in cycles in our lives. But it's no more different to when we become trapped in any cycle within our lives. When we become trapped in the same thought patterns, the same, like a spiral of depression, those sorts of traps that we have in our lives. And the one thing that's absent from this is when we have these types of communication from spirit, it is the love that comes through. I don't care what anyone says, no darkness could produce that amount of love. The love a son has for his mother, the love that that spirit has. And there's a lot of people that have these near-death experiences, and I know one of them. I know a few people who've had near-death experiences. I had members of my family who've had near-death experiences, and when they've come back, their outlook on life, the way that they live their life, has changed irrevocably for the better. So I find a lot of this perpetuation of we're getting this information from these beings, and this is, this kind of fear-based reaction to it really distressing. What's your thoughts, Richard?
The problem is it's beyond the unanswerable question. And anxiety can create all sorts of negativity. I've had that experience in my own life where, after meditation, when I was in the church and I meditated, and I come in contact with the Council of 12, and I can remember it's kicked it up in me. The false life matrix is one of them things, and it is just really negative.
Yeah.
And it is a scary, scary thought process. And which, at any stretch of the imagination, death is. It's the most fundamental, probably the scariest thing there is. And, you find that people will add to it.
Yeah.
And you find that there is, for me, we've had this sort of debate between personally, Jeremy, I believe there is an actual physical form of good and evil. And there is a battle. And that goes on inside us and on the outside of us. This battle between good and evil.
Yeah.
And it's, on a spiritual level, because to create free will, you have to create everything the opposite to it. And, to create love, you have to create hate, create light, you create dark. It is always the opposite. It has to be for two things, for existence to be, basically. Yeah. And the false light matrix is, I can't say it's not true, but the things I felt, we have, when I've done cases and I've been anxious and I felt things, and that's affected how I act towards the case.
Yeah.
With the last one we did, we were all so nervous. I went to the church. I mean, I've got a video of it. I went to the church and I tried to get holy water and different things because I was concerned that this case was going to have an effect on me because of what happened to me a year and a half ago, which I will talk about when the time comes. It's that created a weight, in me that was sort of like stemming me down a negative place. And I can understand how someone, it's like the flat earth, I can understand how somebody would believe the earth is flat, right? Yeah. I can understand the thinking behind it, how you would get to that conclusion with the lies that NASA are spewing out and the maps and these different things. I can understand how you would get. I don't belittle anyone for thinking that, right?
No, me neither. No, me neither.
No, right? But it's just what it means for you and what it means for the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And that's what before sort of putting that out there, I'd want a few more. Well, as you know, Jar, we've done the ghost box and we've had messages from the other side, and I'm the worst for it. I've been so critical about it. I've been upsettingly critical about it, as you know, Jar.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why.
And you've needed to be. You've needed to
be.
We had these experiences, and you've needed to be that. You needed to take that role.
Yeah. Yeah, because otherwise they lead you to a dark place.
Yeah.
And and as we know, what spirits tell us with every communication that we are making the same mistakes they made in life.
Yeah.
Because of what because of the world they were brought up in, and the things, the social conditioning, and everything else, and the things they were told are impossible, and the things that are told are achievable, and you can take that as gospel.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing we're not supposed to do. So.
Nicholas says, what is the... hello, is Grant Marshall. Grant Marshall has joined the stream. Hello, Grant. It's nice to see you, my friend. What is the scariest thing about death? Is it the pain before you go, or what happens to you after? What do you think? I'll let you answer that one first, Rich, because you were the one who was talking about death being the scariest.
Well, for me, I've developed anxiety through something that's happened to me personally and spiritually, and I do have, like, I call them death wakes, and it's just that experience of people who love us missing us, and myself missing the people I love, and like leaving this world, and that's it. And it's sort of like a death, and it takes me on hell of a journey. And I do have them, they last anything from, they can last 30 minutes to like 5 hours. And I'm trying to ride it out. What I'm trying to do is look at where it's taking me and look at what it's making me think of. And the thing with it is, and there's two places that sort of like give me, like really affect me. I notice it takes me to two places. And that's one of no existence at all, which is really hard to comprehend because we exist. And just non-existence, that just emptiness, because you think of yourself sitting in nothing with your mind, but that wouldn't be the case because you don't exist. And the other one is just going through that process of leaving the people you love behind. If we'd move on, if what I believe and what I've discovered, if we move on to another plane of existence, the spiritual plane, and then we get to make a choice. It's that feeling of just looking at all the people I love and just like them feeling lost for me. I think that's the scariest thing. The thing that affects me the most is that.
I'd agree with that, actually.
Yeah. I think that's the two places that give me that grip in my solar plexus. It grips me. And I go, oh, like you get that chill, don't you? That cold chill that runs through you. And I think that's what affects me. It didn't affect me before. I was completely at one with it. I was completely at peace. And that's genuine. And I mean this with all my being. I was so at peace with death that I can't even put it into words. I had absolutely no fear of it at all. And then something happened, and it just magnified every bit of anxietal thought that you can have in me, and it's been a battle. It's been something to go through, and
I don't now. I can remember some of my past lives. I have certain memories of being in spirit. Not many, but I do have those memories, and those memories have been validated by experiences I've had in this life. So, as in my own death, as in like what happens after I die, or the actual process of dying itself, I suppose like I wouldn't, I don't want a painful death. That would probably worry me a little bit. But I'm quite at peace with it. My own death, to be honest with you. It's the fact of like, as long as I go when I'm ready, kind of thing. The fact it can happen any day. You could be at a bus tomorrow. But generally, I'm in quite a good place with death, because I work with it, on a day-to-day basis. Basically, when I work as a reader as well. What you said, I think that for me is the most daunting. It's that feeling of, and the other thing I want to bring up is people on about the fact that we forget our past lives when we come here. And I can tell you 100% that is a gift. I don't care what anyone says. I think the fact that you don't initially remember your past lives is a gift. Now, I went for regression hypnosis back in 2009, and I knew the lady who done it. She'd done a few courses before, and I'd done a few courses with her over the course of a couple of days, and she said to me, she said, "You sure you want to do this?" I said, yeah. She said, "Right." I said, where do you want to go? What do you want to answer? So we wrote down a couple of questions about what I would like to answer. And I didn't ask her about anything. So what I did is I gave her some names, some places, some things from dreams that I'd had in the past. The first thing you remember is the hardest parts that you've lived. In the lives I went back to, there was one death that I had when I got shot off a horse. And I remembered I lived, doing the regression session, I lived a portion of that life. And that messed my head up for a while. Going back 10, 12 years now when I did this. It messed my head up for a while because I had nowhere to place that information, and I had no way of disassociating that, that isn't me. Though it was my consciousness, it isn't Jared. That was someone else. It's a bit like the Doctor in Doctor Who. Even though each regeneration is the Doctor, they are each Doctor is different. They have their own take on the character, their own take on, their own kind of lives, so to speak. And that's where I find it quite, when people say about wanting to remember their past lives, it's quite something that, and we've had it when my brother's come through. He's talked about his past lives on the Ghost Box, Rich. I'll have to show that one to you. And he's talked about, like, I don't know whether he's talked about, they were his lives or they were the periods at which he lived in. And I think that, there are, I've had quite a few of my lives. I couldn't tell you everything that happened in those lives, but I could probably list a good 5 or 6 lives that I know, and about 2 or 3 of them I remember actually how I died. And when those memories came back to me, they were a struggle. They were a struggle to kind of integrate them into who I am, into the person that I've become. Because what it was giving me is a sense of my entire journey. So not just my journey as Jared, but my journey throughout, these different lives. So, like, how it would affect others is probably the only thing that really gets me about death. My own death, it doesn't scare me. It used to, and as I said, I've gone through times where it would terrify me. But at this particular moment, as we sit here today, and has been for the last year or so, that's the one thing I'm probably most at peace with. I would probably say throughout my life I'd be more scared of living than dying. Yeah. And that is something that held me back for years.
Oh yeah, life can get scary. There's no question about it. But same for me. I was, I put it on the channel. I was born dead. And go through a meditation. I had that experience, which was always in the back of my mind, brought up, and I didn't find out till I was like in my 30s. And I remember, thinking all that stuff I felt when I was, a baby, and moving forward, I always thought was just like, I don't know. I tried to just dismiss it. It was only through this process of going back and looking at it for what it was, as give me that peace. And I don't know what, I can't even explain what's changed. It's just I've been through, it's just been, the last year and a half has been, the beginning of it. It's great now. It's brilliant. It's amazing. But a year and a half ago, something woke it up in me, right?
And I think this is the thing, what we're getting on the chat. I'm just going to summarise here. We're getting a few comments in the chat and say it's the loss of control that people find which is scary, which is really honest. Nicole and Amanda, that's really, really honest. And, that is, I suppose. But what I've come to find that is, if you love something, you let it go. And the reason you let it go is because if that love is real, it'll always come back to you. Love always returns to you. It always comes back to you. It's just, if you accept love for what it is, because love can only love. It can't do nothing else, right? So where that love is coming from, family, friends, from what you're doing, your passions, from you always let go of the fear. You let go of the worry. And that's a process. That's probably the process I've been going through over the last year and a half of my life, is learning to let go. And I find the more I let go of control, the more it actually comes back to me, because I don't worry about having that control anymore. I don't. I live my life day to day, sometimes hour to hour. And I very rarely, unless it's something where like these debates, or if I'm got a reading or something, I very rarely plan anything, because I go with the flow of life now. And that's what I'm learning, because what I used to go through when I went through this process is I would learn something and I'd understand something. I'd be like, right, will I repeat myself next time? And I kept doing this. I kept having these experiences where, would bring up different questions for me about life, about love, about our connection with spirit, or about how I work, when I work with people, all these different things that we go through in life, where, perhaps we've had like relationships which are toxic, and you think, well, is the next person I meet going to be this toxic? Or I've come from a toxic workplace, and is the next workplace I go into going to be just as toxic? And you realise that it got to a point where I was realising that I had that fear about stuff I was doing now, or doing right now, or doing the best way for me now. And the fact that that's when I realised, hang on, I'm doing this, and this. And I was worrying about that 6 months ago. And it's the control. The loss of control for me wasn't so much of an issue. It's more being aware of the times that I can control something and the times that I can't. And like me and you have talked about this channel, Rich, right? And you've said about like doing different things on this channel. I've been quite resistant to it. And then when you actually showed me, I was like, well, why couldn't I see this before? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's questioning it when you go in through it, questioning, being aware of it and questioning it. It was like, oh, actually, you were right on the money with that. Why weren't I doing it this way before? And it seemed to be getting better results. And it's like, well, you had to go through that understanding.
You can't skip the journey. The journey is just as important as the destination.
Absolutely.
You can't, any journey, any place you're trying to get to, there's a journey together.
Yeah.
And it's not appreciating that, and you can lose your way. But it's the same with love. I mean, we all, I don't know if I'm right on this, but I can imagine every living being, sentient being on this earth, aspires to find love, to be loved. Because it's that feeling is the most powerful thing force it is to actually be loved. And I think it stems back to the beginning, from creation, finding love. And the problem is, in finding love, if you actually find it, it's really hard to let go, because like you said, it's the thing, it's more precious than anything you can find.
I'm not on about letting go of love, but I'm on about letting go of the fears.
Not about letting go of love. Yeah, that's what I mean. But that's what I mean. But through love, you can have a fear.
Yeah.
It's a fine line.
Yeah.
And it's just it's a fine thing, innit? I don't know.
I think it comes down to questioning, always questioning everything. And to me, that's what it's been to me, is quite, it's been a very difficult it's a very difficult thing, but it's also the most rewarding thing, and I think that's the journey that the paranormal takes us on. Something a bit,
Oh, yeah.
something a bit lighter. This is from Suzanne. She says, "Hi Jared, I have a possible spirit story to share with you. On the morning
Okay.
of the 26th of Jan, my friend messaged me to tell me about something weird her husband saw the night before in Tenby. Tenby is a holiday resort on the west of Wales. At 7:30 p.m, he was about to get on his scooter in Tenby multi-storey car park when a nun in a long black habit walked past him. So like a long black veil then, I think. Walked past him within 3 feet. She was young and pretty, and he watched her as she went behind a 2-foot wide sign, but did not reappear out the other side. He looked around the sign and the car park. No one else was parked on the lower floor, but she was nowhere to be seen. He then felt a bit spooked and left. While my friend and I were chatting on Messenger about this, my phone started freezing and my radio crackling. I was also probing mystery phone. Basically, as her phone was messing up, she noticed the number 333 somehow got typed in a text box. It basically goes on to ask about the number 333. This got me thinking about starting doing some psychic portraits again. And Suzanne, I'm going to bring this up on screen now, she tried to, I'm assuming that Suzanne does have a bit of background in this, and she shared this picture, which I'm going to share with you guys now, of the spirit she believes her husband saw. So this is it on screen now. Excuse me, sorry. There you go. Couldn't get it up then. So that's the picture that Suzanne sent us. So thank you very much, Suzanne, for sending us that picture. It's a little bit of psychic art, and I think Rich, have you got the Now Debate up in front of you?
I know, I've seen the picture.
You've seen the picture, have you? So I just thought I'd share that with you guys, because and thank you, Suzanne, for sending that to us. That was absolutely brilliant. It is.
Well, isn't it? I mean, Tenby's like the Welsh Las Vegas, and what happens in Tenby stays in Tenby. So it just could have been, it just could have been a nun thought, I need to let my hair down. Do you know what I mean? It could have been, or she could have had a bad habit. Oh, that was a bad joke. Yeah, but I know. Sorry, I went there. But yeah, it's these things. I mean, the thing is with the paranormal, they happen when you are. The more you expect it, right? You can spend hours and hours, like, in a haunted location. But when you're just minding your own business, there's some of the best paranormal stories I've ever heard. So that's the way it works.
Absolutely. There is a article that was brought to our attention. So there's 2 articles that have been brought to our attention that I would like to talk about very, very quickly. This one is concerning the Connects on the Connects video that we did. And this is an article from a website called Skeptic Inquirer. Now, it's a bit like when you go to paranormal sites, right? And they talk about, in-depth essays about different paranormal activities and that sort of thing. So you're going to expect it on a paranormal side to be on, a supportive argument. On the skeptical side, it's a non-supportive argument of it. Now, I tend to find these skeptical websites tend to be a bit sort of, they look down on people, and I don't like that language. But this article I did find had some really interesting points in it. So would you be? So I'm going to read a little bit of this article to you guys now, and Rich, would be interesting to have your comments on this. Ghost hunters absolutely love their gadgets. Simple observations show that technology attracts ghost hunters like moths to a blue glow bug zapper. It's a sciencey aspect of it. Gadgets make it look like one is being all scientific, with blinking lights and noises that reach excited peaks. Sadly, the majority of gadgets that are being used by ghost hunting teams are about as useful as a car muffler in a shower. In other words, they are completely useless. Now, first of all, this is what the other side are saying, and I would absolutely fundamentally disagree with that statement. In the past couple of years, I've noticed an additional ghost hunting arsenal, the Xbox Kinect paranormal teams who are plugging them into laptop computers and claiming the devices were able to track spirit entities that happened to appear in a room that was being monitored. As of this writing, portable versions of the device basically connect a power source and a tablet and a handle have become extremely popular with paranormalists, whoever calls themselves a paranormalist, to the freedom they provide and their various appearances on popular TV shows. What is the reason behind this? Why do paranormalists get excited about this device? Well, it seems to have followed on for the footsteps of the Ouija board and been gaining reputation based on the movie in October 2012 in Paranormal Activity 4 was released and gave the ghost hunting community the idea that the Kinect could see ghosts, spirits and demons, which is absolutely wrong because it was happening well before then. Just with other paranormal gadgets, the idea was based on the unsupportable belief that the function of the Kinect uses infrared lights. Paranormalists believe ghosts can be seen within this. That produces a lot more like a laser grid known as a shadow detector. To paranormalists, this was a natural addition to their pile of pelican cases. The article then basically goes on and talks about this a little bit more, and the fact what I want to bring up about this article is the fact that they have actually spoken to Microsoft, and I'll share it in the description below this video. And obviously Microsoft are denying that this has had any sort of validity. Now, what I'm finding very hard with this debate is no one is looking at the footage where, like we have shown, that there's interaction and you're seeing it on the camera at the same time. Richard, your thoughts?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've said we've got a video on our channel, and it's me and another investigator, Debbie, and we have an interaction with one of these stick figures on the Kinect, and it sort of moves and it climbs and floats in the air, then it jumps to the other side of Debbie. It reaches up, it touches her cheek, and she says, "I can feel something touching my cheek." Now, I'll put it out to anyone who is listening, or if you can send it to anyone who's an expert in this thing, if he's got a logical explanation for that, I'll listen to it. But I can't just think of one. I just can't fathom what you could make that, you can make that not real. So, I don't know. I mean, yeah, you can get carried away with them, like anything.
Yeah.
You can get, you can be like the Cajun, the Ouija board. You can get carried away with the information you are perceiving. But I don't know. I mean, we used it on that case. That's what happened. And if you can debunk it, you're more than welcome to. But I can't. So, and I've been doing this nearly 20 years. That's my thoughts on it. I mean, yeah, you will get lots of people who will get carried. It's like the ghost box. I mean, we've had this controversy with the ghost box, Daz. You can hear what it says. I don't hear what it says. Some people hear what you say. Some people hear what I hear, and that's the thing with it. But we have kept on checking it, looking at it, and it's one of them things. If you're going to use it, you've got to be true to it. Yeah. You've got to experiment and then see, that could be this, that could be that. It's the same with orbs. It's the same with anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, I think we're coming to the end of today's show, unless there's anything else that you would like to discuss with us, Richard. I think we've been going now for a good hour or so, actually.
Is it?
Yeah, a good hour and 20 minutes. So, is there anything else that you would like to add to today's...
I think we've pretty much covered it all. I think we've had there's been a few questions posed. I don't know if we've answered. Well, I've tried to answer them as honestly as I can. I think you have, Jack.
Absolutely.
We don't have all the answers. We don't. We really don't. Don't we just keep investigating like we think we should, and questioning our own evidence, and until the truth, like that video, like I just stated, that next video, until something happens, you can't. You try and got to try with all your might to deny, and that's how we, that's how we do it.
Yeah. You've got to look at all aspects of it, and even accept the possibility sometimes that you may be wrong, and that's okay.
It's got to be scrutinized. It's got to be scrutinized for it to be, the more you scrutinize it, the realer it becomes. So,
but there's a difference between scrutinizing and dismissing, and I think a lot of the people that look at this from the for these type of articles are going down the dismissing route. I'm too good to be playing with this sort of stuff, and I think it's a culture clash. That's what I think it boils down to. It's a culture clash. It's a clash between, how different people see and perceive the paranormal, which I think is how it should be, I suppose, in a sense.
If you build a camera, right? If somebody's out there now, I can't do it. I don't know how to do it. But if somebody could build an actual video camera that allows you to see spirits 100% in purest form, right? Then there's no need for us. The other thing is, what's the implication? What implication is a device like that going to bring up?
Yeah.
What in our world is that going to change? It's going to change. It'll change everything. So, until that time comes, then we just keep trying to find answers.
Well, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. I've been Jared Walters.
I've been Richard Oliver.
And that was Not So Much the Now debate. And we are going to be putting more videos out, and over the next couple of weeks, Richard is also going to be doing some talks on the channel as well. And we have now got a website, which is www.paranormalnowinvestigations.com. And if you want to take a look at that website, we've still got a few tweaks left to make to it, but the website is basically functioning properly. It will be sort of 100% by tomorrow morning. And if any of you guys are in need of any help with the paranormal, then please just feel free to drop us a line, and we'll see you on Wednesday. When have we got a topic for Wednesday yet, Richard?
I don't know. We've got so many, haven't we? We've been talking about all different ideas. We've literally chucked it. Comes out there. We'll have a think of one. Or if anybody in the messages wants to, if they got something they'd like us to do a show on, let us know.
Okay, let us know in the comments beneath this video. Okay, guys, I will see you soon. We will see you soon, sorry, in another video, and thank you very much for joining us. Take care.
Love and light, guys.
Love and light, guys.